Hello everyone, welcome to NewAspect Salon. I'm your host today, Yun Cai from NewAspect program. Today it's our great pleasure to have this new friend with us who will join us at the concert on December 26th at National Concert Hall for the whole Shostakovich program. Let's give a big applause to our conductor, Maestro Alexandre Bloch. Thank you very much. Hello, Alexander. It's very nice to meet you. How are you?
Hello, I'm very, very well. Thank you so much. And I'm so excited to finally come to Taiwan.
Yeah, this will be your first time to Taiwan, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So do you know a little bit about the story, how we, have this pleasure to invite you as our conductor for this project?
No, actually, I don't know the story. I'm very curious to know.
Okay. Well, as you know, you're also your good friend, Boris Giltburg. He worked with us for 10 years already. Yeah. And since 2023, we start after the COVID, we start a program with one night with two concerti, piano concerti. So this is his idea to have this crazy program, but exciting program as well, because after the pandemic, everybody want to play and want to listen, want to go to the concerts. And we want to give our audience more. So that's why we have two piano concerti in one night. And this year, because it celebrates Shostakovich's 50th anniversary. So that's why we have the whole Shostakovich program, and we are very honored to have you with us. Would you like to tell us about your collaboration or your first meet with Boris Giltburg?
Oh yes, with Boris. It's well, we did a concert a couple of years ago in Halle Orchestra in Manchester. And it was a beautiful meeting because I didn't know this great artist, and he's so sincere and very natural musically that it matched immediately very fast between us. And it was just a natural dialogue. Although actually it was a Chopin piano concerto, which usually doesn't have a lot to do with the orchestra, but it was so much eager to listen to the orchestra, to every inflection that I could do, that it was a lot of fun to bring music to life with him. And I was eager to find another opportunity to do music. So here we are in the other end of the earth to do a full Shostakovich program. And it will be totally different because, of course, the music is different, but we are the same musicians. And I totally believe that we will have a lot of fun already.
Will this be your first time to conduct two piano concerti by Shostakovich?
Yes, not two concerti in the same program, but those two piano concerto in the same program. Yes, absolutely. But it's absolutely a great idea. I really like the idea. Also bringing also two other symphonic pieces aside, the overture and the first symphony. It's the concert basically offers a striking portrait of Dmitri Shostakovich at different moments of his life, from the youthful brilliance to mature and this public-facing exuberance also. And I think it's the common thread would be the contrast, because it's always between irony and sincerity, or brilliance and anxiety, or public celebration or private tension. So it's perfect to have a whole program around this composer to really, really understand the composer and know it better.
From this program, because we asked you to complete the program, of course, by adding the overture and also the symphony, why do you choose the festive overture and symphony number 1?
Because exactly in parallel of those two concerto, the first concerto was composed quite in his youth. He was 26, I think, and the second much more in the second part of his life. So that was the same with the overture and the symphony. The overture, he was 48, years old. It was in 1954, I think. And the symphony was part of his graduation when he was only 19. So, and even musicians at that time were wondering, is it really him who really composed the symphony? So it's really, really great to put in opposition, not together, actually, in a program, two pieces for so much different period of his life, and to see what has evolved, but also what remains the same since the beginning. And mostly it's, his ability to handle the irony, the humor, but light, and there is never how to say that, nothing is really that simple that it seems to be on the paper. So for us as a conductor, it's really important to respect very well the score, but not to over embrace all the humor or brilliant aspect. There is always a second or third meaning of everything, which is of every emotion which is written in the score. And this is since the beginning, since his youth, the first symphony, until his late works. And one of the Festival Rectory is definitely, one of the, it's not the latest work, of course, because he lived a little bit longer, but still this kind of a commission piece, kind of blazing brass, relentless rhythm drive, this kind of excessive optimism that we can find in many different pieces of Shostakovich. I think it was good to also open the concert, and it's a fun piece to play anyway. It's a dazzling piece to open a concert, but it also says a lot already about Shostakovich. It's too fun to be true somehow.
I agree, and because this year is the Shostakovich year, so we had the Shostakovich Fest from the beginning of the year, and the whole year we celebrate Shostakovich with so many symphonies. And for your perspective, what do you think? I've heard a lot of conductors said that Shostakovich is very difficult to compare or to project the irony, the bright and dark in Shostakovich's repertoire. But for you as a conductor, what's your approach to reflect this contrast?
I usually like to digging a lot in Shostakovich life. You see, I have all my books about Shostakovich. I have many. Every time I digging into a composer, I try to at least have different perspectives from many different musicologists, and to know a little bit about his life. And for instance, in the time when he wrote the first piano concerto, he was also a pianist for a silent movie theater. And I don't know if you have experienced that, because now not a lot of people doubt it anymore because every movie has music. But still, there are some places when you can find it. I remember very well, I had two teachers when I was in Paris Conservatoire who used to do that in specific place in Paris. And it's a very strange experiment, because you can see all the emotions, and you can see the musicians on the piano having to shift from one emotion to the other one really, really fast. And sometimes it's make a kind of brutal shifts. And this is exactly what you can find in some of his music, and definitely in the first piano concerto for trumpet, piano, and strings. So it does reflect a lot about what he could maybe feel. I mean, one would never know what one feels, even today when we know someone. So definitely not when someone is dead for many years. But still, it's quite interesting for us as an interpreter and as a conductor to try to learn so many information that we have the impression that at the end we know the composer, even if it's not really true. But and then we can imagine what could have gone through his head. I always do that with every composer. Mahler is also very important, and any composer, just to try to have all the aspect of their life in this year. This happens to him, so it must have been terrible, or he must have been such joyful in spirit mood, and hence this works after that.
Yeah, and except for referring to composers current or at the time, the life at the time, what do you would you put any like personal attached to or approach to the music when you work with the orchestra?
Yes, I mean, it's difficult to really say what I put. I mean, I am the conductor, so obviously this is me in front of an orchestra. This is my body in, let's say, influencing or how to say, inspiring the musicians. It's not someone else. So of course it's different. But I always try to really get down to the score and to the music that the most precise music that has composed a composer. This is for me very important. But of course, there are some feelings, some emotions, or some story that strike me more than others. For instance, if you see the second piano concerto that Shostakovich wrote for his son graduation, Maxim, there is this funny story that apparently he had his annoying neighbor that was always practicing this piano technique, from Anon. This is piano technique composer to really late in the evening or very early in the morning. And just to see that Shostakovich just put this exactly in the concerto, was making fun of it. And I did heard a lot of friends practicing those techniques as well, exactly the same exercise. So just when I discovered for the first time the concerto, it also amused me a lot. And this may be one of the personal thing that I input. But do I conduct it better or more intensely? I don't know. I think it's our duty as an interpreter to feel 400% everything that could have gone through, as every single emotion that could have gone through the composer, and to express it to the musician of the orchestra so they can really share it to the audience.
Right. So we checked the overture, we checked the first piano concerto, and also the second. You just share a little bit. How about the Symphony 1? Because he's like faster, the really the piece that made him really famous around the world. So what do you think see the first symphony?
Well, the first thing is, at the time it was created, the audience was really astonished because it was already quite a confident orchestration, very clear contrasts. There was something of a personal voice already immediately there. And we can already find in the early works this kind of grotesque humor, the violent outbursts, fragile lyrism, and this kind of the sense of the unease that you can find in any Shostakovich piece, actually. So this is from the very beginning. And this is what I like to always start from the roots, so you can understand better the other symphony, the fifth, of course, which is a result to the fourth. And then, but if you start really earlier, this is a first stage, a first scale, I would say. And the final is not really triumphant. There is this kind of a urgent, tense, almost prophetic atmosphere that it's maybe makes this music a little bit different that we would have in a Tchaikovsky symphony. Of course, it's not the same time, but voila. But this is the same background because they were both in Russia. One it was in later Russia, which was URSS. But
I see. So this will be your first time to Taiwan, and you're going to collaborate with Taipei Symphony Orchestra. And I know you have been working with so many orchestras in Europe and around the world, and you have much experience working with a new orchestra. So when it comes to a new orchestra, when you first meet, what are you going to do to establish this working relationship with a whole new orchestra that you never met before?
The first thing, I usually read the first piece. I don't stop too much at the beginning because I want to be able to create some space with the music so the musicians feel more and more comfortable playing this piece that probably they haven't played in a while, or they know it by memory. It depends on what kind of piece. And to get used to my conducting and me getting used to their playing, because every place of the world have a different culture of rehearsal, culture of playing, culture of knowledge also about this piece or the connection inner composer. So yeah, it's usually I mean, if we take any symphony, it can be like a 10 minutes piece that you can run through, and during those 10 minutes you can already see a lot, because you can discover the sound of the orchestra, you can discover the strengths of the orchestra, what groups know each other maybe better, what groups really play by looking to each other, who is really looking clearly to the conductor, who seems to be looking but you never see the eyes but he follows very well, who you need to really try to catch more the eyes to really create more quick connection. And everybody is different. I always say that an orchestra is like the mirror of a society, not the society where the orchestra is, but for me it's an ideal society where younger, older lives together, man, woman, the one who thinks this, the other who think the other way, the one who has his politic rights, the other wings left or whatever, and they're all in the same room. You know what we call the open space co-working, you know, this kind of place. But yeah, this place with 80, sometimes 90 people in the same area for 2-3 hours, and sometimes several times a day. This is quite intense, and this is what makes the beauty, because at the end everybody put their ego on the side and just serve one same common goal, which is the goal of the music and the composer's scores. So I always find this fascinating, but this is always also even more fascinating to see how different orchestra deal with that, because this is not easy. And what is the story of the orchestra? Of course, you cannot know everything by just listening and looking at orchestra, but you can see a lot already by just a couple of seconds, even like they do when they see the conductor going through the opening door and going until the podium. On these 10 seconds, they already know with whom they have to deal with. So this is the same for me with the orchestra. I see faces, I see how they play, I see how they invest in their instruments, and I see the sound, I hear the sound also, the result of that. And it takes me, it's very important that it has to take me a really fast time for me to make I mean, I already have a plan, of course, how I want the piece to sound, but I also like to make a mix between what I have in my head and what the orchestra or the musician can propose, and then to immediately create in a fast way a plan to, okay, this is going to be this rehearsal, and the next I'm going to do that, and the next one. So I arrive to the concert and I go from A to B.
This sounds very with a very smart strategy to work with the orchestra. Thank you. And so this time will be the first time. So this is not your first time to Asia, no?
No, I've been a lot of time to Seoul in South Korea, and once to Beijing.
So compare with the orchestra in Europe, the orchestras in Asia, do you find this, when you conduct, would it be any like cultural difference when you work with them?
Well, there is a cultural difference, of course, in the city, in the living, but you know, I have the impression that nowadays, more and more, there is so many traveling international musicians everywhere in between orchestras, then orchestra tends to be more, how to say, in international style. And this is more and more our job as a conductor, to try to go and find in the roots, more deeper in the orchestral sound, what would be special about this week's performance of Shostakovich First Symphony, in Taiwan, and not in South Korea, and not in Germany, and not in New York, and this is also I think it's not always the same, and I cannot predict what will be, because maybe I'm totally wrong and I will find it differently when I arrive there. But sometimes I have the impression, and definitely in Europe this is the case, what is very different usually is the pace of the rehearsal. And this tells a lot about the culture of an orchestra. It doesn't, for me, it doesn't say if it's good or wrong, right or wrong, whatever. But there are some orchestra who has such a short amount of rehearsal in a very fast time, and some who just take a lot of times. What also length is how to say, the rehearsal time. Or what length is a break as well. It's really also says a lot about the psychology, about the group psychology, also how they live their works. So this tells me a lot, and also how is the focus in rehearsal is very, very important to me. Right. So yeah, I'm always eager to discover anyway, because this is what is fascinating about a traveling job, that you're discovering new culture, a new way of approaching rehearsal and music, of course.
So this will be your first time to Taiwan. So I believe a lot of your friends must tell you something about Taiwan. And what's your what do you want to see the most, or what's your must-do?
I don't listen to any story before I come to a place. I like to discover it with my eyes. So I usually don't have any expectation. I like to open my ears and my eyes when I arrive to a new place, and try to find some time to really walk around. And because this is such a privilege to be able to discover it, not from a picture, not from a tell story, not from a book, but from your own eyes. And I have to say, I haven't yet read a book about Taiwan, and I'm very happy that I'm going to discover it with my first sense first.
Last question. So from this special program, what do you expect to bring the audience, and what do you expect them to bring with them when they, come back home?
One often said that they know exactly Shostakovich music, that it can be all the same throughout the symphony. It is not. And I think this is a perfect program to realize that even this is the same composer and the language can be the same throughout his life. There is such a huge variety of feelings and emotion, and a way he transmits those emotions. And also the way of having three different types of works, an overture, concertos, and symphony. It's also created different atmosphere on stage, which is perfect to really reconnect, I would say, or connect if it's the first time, to one's man's life works, I would say. So it's really one concert not to miss, actually. Because Shostakovich does speak a lot to the emotions, and especially in live concert, when you feel the vibration of the sound, which is in Shostakovich quite a say. This is something to come and experiment in Taipei next week.
Thank you so much, Alexander, for your for sharing all your insights, and we're so excited to see you very soon. You're coming on Sunday. You're arriving on Sunday, right?
Yeah, I'm traveling Saturday, Sunday. Exactly. Yes. I'm very excited. Soon.
And thanks to Power Chip Culture Foundation for their generosity of sponsoring this concert. We'll see you on December 26th at the National Concert Hall with Alexander. See you there.
See you soon. Hello Taipei, my name is Alexandre Bloch. I'm the conductor for next week's concert with the Taipei Symphony Orchestra. It will be on the 26th in the National Concert Hall. you can't miss that concert. It's going to be a beautiful concert all around Shostakovich music, with the festive overture, the 2 piano concerto with the tremendous pianist Boris Giltburg, and the first symphony. And this music really doesn't reflect just history, it reflects us here and now with all our contradictions. Here is why you absolutely have to come. I wait for you. See you soon.